OTAs kick off today for your Pittsburgh Steelers on the south side. And who should we be watching today as we move through these off-season workout programs? Welcome back to Mike Drop Sports, everybody. I'm Jason. Let's dive in here on a Tuesday talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers and which players should we really be looking for and which players should we be watching to possibly stand out in these sessions. These sessions aren't going to give you a ton of insight into, the hard-hitting, high-flying type NFL football we're used to seeing. However, you're going to be able to start to tell where the Pittsburgh Steelers are trying to put people, where they're trying to work players in at certain positions, and I think it's going to give us a great insight into possibly some of the things that the Pittsburgh Steelers want to do in terms of the roster, the lineup, things of that nature. And I think there's a couple positions that we really need to be watching. One being the obvious, the quarterback position. As we said yesterday on yesterday's live show, we aren't going to get to see a ton of real football, and nothing definitive is really going to be able to come out of these sessions with that in terms of a guy winning a job over another guy, like Justin Fields possibly being able to outperform Russell Wilson in those sessions, because there is no live rush, there is no hitting, there is no real actual reps in order for Russell Wilson to lose his job, in my opinion. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers want to see how Justin Fields commands this offense in terms of knowledge and things of that nature. I think that we'll get a good insight into that from some reporters that have feet on the ground at the camp. Now, they're not going to be able to report everything because they're not allowed to, and they're not allowed to give you all the information that they see at these camps. However, quarterback is a position that we want to watch, and we want to see how Justin Fields is able to command this offense in terms of an intellectual nature. We want to see how Russell Wilson is grasping this, the clear-cut number one as of right now for your Steelers, and the guy that I think they're leaning on moving into 2024, the guy that is in the pole position according to one Mike Tomlin. But there's some other positions that I really want to start watching also. The wide receiver room, I really want to watch that and see how the reps are divided up, see which players are where in terms of maybe the depth chart, how they're lining up, where players are lining up in terms of like slot, inside, outside, things of that nature, how they are also grasping this Arthur Smith offense, how things are starting to progress for them in terms of their route tree, how their cuts are crisp or what have you in terms of route running, things of that nature, and who is, really rising to the cream of the crop in that room, considering I feel like there's a lot of 4s, 5s in terms of depth chart players, on this roster right now for the Pittsburgh Steelers at the wide receiver spot. And there's still possibility that they may go out and make some move here closer to June, and we're right about there. We're about 10 days away from June 1st, which is another milestone in the NFL season in terms of player movement, releases and things of that nature because of contracts post pre-June 1. So we'll keep an eye out on that situation and possibly how this wide receiver room's shaking out, because I think it's still an area that the Pittsburgh Steelers are attempting to add and still make better here ahead of the season. So also some more positions. I want to see how that offensive line starts to really work and shake out in terms of where players are put. I think you'll see a lot of Troy Fautanu at the right tackle position. I think you'll see a lot of one Broderick Jones at the left tackle position. I think you'll see Zach Frazier really take command and become that center, that entrenched starter as a rookie for your Pittsburgh Steelers. And I would like to see them get as many reps as a group in their positions, where they're going to play here in 2024 and how that will work out for your Steelers, because I want to see that growth. I want to see them start to take those next steps if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers in terms of growing this young offensive line full of real studs, real early draft picks, and it's something to be really excited for, because we haven't had a line since this, since like the Al Villanuevas, the DeCastros, the Ramon Fosters, the Marquise Pouncey's. We haven't had a line since that time that's been this the potential to be this good. So that's a really exciting thing if you're a Steelers fan, because I know it's not an eye-popping thing, a scoring type thing, like, oh, and it's exciting because it's the trenches. But if you're a real true football enthusiast, you'll really value that battle, those battles at the offensive line positions, to where players are going to fit themselves in and work themselves in. You have young guys there still, Spencer Anderson, Dylan Cook, McCormick that was just drafted, the South Dakota Jackrabbit, who I think was going to be or is going to be something special in the NFL once he gets his opportunity. I don't think he'll ever let it go. So that's a position group that I want to watch. Also, I want to watch those inside linebackers with new additions like Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, the early draft pick, whom I think is going to be one of the biggest steals of the 2024 draft. You look at Peyton and you look at how he is going to be able to fit with his speed and agility. I think many people were concerned about his injury history, but the guy hasn't been injured in 2 years. So let's at least give him the opportunity without beating him down with those questions about injuries right away here. Let him work himself into his NFL body and really be able to start, growing as an NFL player and carve out a real role for himself here with the Steelers. Approaching the preseason, approaching camp, those types of things. Also, I want to look out for that cornerback room. How does Corey Trice come off of this injury? Many people in the fan base have had high hopes for Corey Trice. I get the comments all the time about how Corey, or what people think about Corey and how they think that he could be a real stud and how much love they got for a guy like Corey Trice. And I got to agree with you. I really have high expectations, or at least I did last season. But coming off an ACL injury, I want to be patient with Corey and allow him to work his way back into this Steelers roster and work his way back into possibly being able to contribute at the NFL level, a guy that has been injured significantly at every level of football that he has ever played. So we want to see how that goes for Corey Trice. We want to see how some of these other young guys like a Darius Rush, a Watt, a Beanie Bishop, those guys all pan out, because I really have high hopes for a guy like Beanie Bishop. I think he could potentially eventually be a starter for the Steelers down the road. I think Beanie Bishop, an all Big 12 guy out of West Virginia, has a real opportunity to do some good things for your Steelers moving forward. And I think that he was a quality pickup, and I'm not sure how he wasn't drafted. It's kind of puzzling to me. I thought he would at least be a 5th, 6th round pick. I thought that he would be in that area in terms of draft status. But Joey Porter Jr., the incumbent starter at the cornerback position, I just want to see him just continue to get quality reps, continue to make steps, and jump up here in year 2 and really take that next step at becoming an elite shut-down corner in the NFL, a real true number 1 option for your Steelers. So those positions, along with that defensive front, Cam Hayward won't be there, but a guy coming off a couple surgeries, I think that he's taken time to just rehab and rehabilitate those problem areas that he had. I don't think the contract dispute is as big a deal as we're all making it out to be. I think Cam Hayward is going to make his money this season, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to figure out exactly what they want to do with him long term. I think they'll figure that out around the June timeframe, or July, August timeframe, once they start to see how Cam is really going here. But it may even be later in that before they decide on an extension. But I think Cam will make his money this year, and I think we'll see Cam as a Steeler here in 2024 and possibly beyond. We'll see how that all plays out, but I don't think it's as dire situation right now as we sit, as I once thought it was, and maybe you once thought it was. So those situations are arising. Also, how's this team going to be receptive to Coach Mike Tomlin and this new revamped coaching staff with additions like Arthur Smith, Coach Z in the wide receiver room? You're going to look at Terrell Austin heading into another year as the Steelers defensive coordinator. How does that all plan out? But I think the Pittsburgh Steelers and what they have going on right now, I think that there's some signs of hope and some signs of positivity. And I think OTAs could be a real, a real look into what we think the Steelers are going to be in 2024, and hopefully how they are building for the future. And there's very, interesting battles all across this roster, in my opinion. I think we're lacking a little bit of depth, it seems like, when you're thinking of position battles. But I think that'll all shake itself out as you see some of maybe these undrafted guys, some of these other guys that they had brought in for depth pieces emerge and start to really do well and start to be talked about. I think you'll start to see some of those battles unfold. All right, guys, let's wrap it up, but I want you to really, keep an eye out on OTAs and really keep an eye out on what the Steelers team is doing here on a Tuesday as they kick off the 2024 offseason. You figure we're almost to June. Training camp starts in July. Things aren't very far away, and this Pittsburgh Steelers team is poised to do special things. And I think Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin have really made a conscious effort, along with Andy Weidel, on building this roster for the short-term win now and also for the long-term building process of this team for long-term continued success. So watch us tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Steel City Live. This is Mike Drop Sports. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. So until tonight for the live show, I'm Jason. This is Mike Drop Sports. Peace.